okay? Now, one of the things that Cowboy fans like to do is they like to bring up the career statistics. And so when we look at the career statistics of Dak Prescott, of Carson Wentz, they're looking at 3 years, okay? So let's look at 3 years of Carson Wentz versus Dak Prescott, okay? So Dak Prescott, he played in 48 games. Carson Wentz has played in 40. Dak Prescott has 67 touchdowns. Carson Wentz has 70. Dak Prescott has 25 interceptions. Carson Wentz has 28. Dak Prescott has 10,876 yards. Carson Wentz has 10,152. Dak Prescott has a quarterback rating of 96, while Carson Wentz has a quarterback rating of 92.5. Completion percentage for Dak Prescott is 66.1, and he throws 226.6 yards per game, while Carson Wentz has 63% completion percentage. It's actually 63.7, and 253.8 yards per game. Now, this is within 3 years. So remember, Dak Prescott, 48 games, 67 touchdowns compared to Carson Wentz to 70, 25 interceptions to Carson Wentz is 28. Now, here's the thing. These numbers are very similar. They look very identical. And one can say, well, Carson Wentz and Dak are pretty much putting up the same numbers, but Dak Prescott's healthy. Even though these numbers are very comparable and Dak Prescott has played in 8 more games. Now, here's the issue that I have with looking at these numbers for all 3 years, okay? When you look at these numbers, one of the things that you really have to do if you're making the Dak Prescott argument is you really have to put a lot of value in the rookie year. Now, you got to put some value in the rookie year because they played. But I think a rookie year is really a starting point for a quarterback. Now, if you remember, Dak Prescott was coming out of college where he was playing at a much higher level against much better competition. So the jump that Dak Prescott has to make from college to the NFL is not nearly as great as Carson Wentz had to make coming from North Dakota where he was playing. He was playing in a whole different college division, a much lesser. And this is why the Eagles said that their plan initially with Carson Wentz was to sit him for 2 straight years. They wanted to sit him, let him get acclimated to the NFL, let him get adjusted, and help him to get through that because it was such a great jump. It's a much bigger jump for Carson Wentz than it was for Dak Prescott. So that's just the starting point. Now, a week before the season starts, Carson Wentz, it learns he's going to be the starter. They trade Sam Bradford. Part of it was because Carson was so impressive during OTAs in spring and everything. They thought that they could do it. And they did. But it still was a huge adjustment for Carson Wentz. It was a gigantic adjustment for Carson Wentz. And Dak Prescott, he wound up becoming the starter as well. Now, he had to make an adjustment. He had to learn the NFL. He had to go through growing pains too. I would say they were not as dramatic and they were not as much. The other thing is, Dak Prescott had one huge advantage his rookie year that Carson Wentz did, and that was Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott was a top 3 running back his rookie year. He was that good his rookie year, and it took a lot of pressure off Dak Prescott. Carson Wentz didn't have that. Okay, so the rookie years, there were 2 things really going against Carson Wentz compared to Dak Prescott. One, he didn't have Zeke Elliott or that offensive line that Dallas had at that time, and 2, Carson Wentz was making a bigger adjustment than Dak Prescott. So when we look at the rookie numbers side by side here.
Okay, let me see if I can unpackage this with my man PHILLY.500's just stated. Okay, now PHILLY.500, good man, one of the best video makers in the YouTube, in the TTC, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and I've subscribed to him. And he's one of my favorite, you know, and he makes me laugh. The guy is very respectful. You know, he has his hate for the Cowboys as all Eagle fans do. You know, most of them anyway. But you know, you got to give him his props about how his analysis sometimes works. But like many Eagles fans, when it comes to the Cowboys, things get a bit skewed, as you just heard what he just said. Okay. Now, he stated, let me see if I can unpack this. Like I said, he stated that Carson Wentz was coming from a lesser school in a lesser division than Dak Prescott. Okay, Dak Prescott was playing at a higher level in the SEC, which is a tough division. By one point, it was a tough division. Okay, but let me start with that. Okay, Dak Prescott came into that team in college when that team has never done anything significantly in that division nearly the entire time in their career. Nearly the entire time that they've been in the SEC. Dak walks in there and breaks every single record that school ever held on the football field as a quarterback. Understand? So that's just you just can't say that he came from a different level of playing. He elevated his play. Dak physically, mentally fought to elevate his play every single day he was out on that field. Right? Now Carson Wentz, I don't know his story. Came from Dakota. They call him Dakota Assassin. What school that was? I guess it was in Dakota. What positions or opponents he played? I guess they were Dakota opponents. Whether they were lesser or greater. All I know when I look on YouTube, I keep seeing Wentz greater than Dak Prescott or Dak, which makes no sense to me because he hasn't beaten him. Makes no other further sense to me because you just heard the man telling you the riot act of Dak Prescott's stats against Carson Wentz. Now, he left out a few other stats that makes a lot more sense when you think about the comparables. And that is yards at attempt. Okay? And the other one, your other yards of attempts, average of yards attempts. Both of which are higher than Carson Wentz. The fact that Carson Wentz did play 8 games less, wouldn't it be higher if he was such an elite quarterback? Will it be higher if he was elevating his play? Now, why does it have to be skewed the fact that he was a rookie quarterback? When I was growing up, as a kid in the NFL, I learned early that you have to give a quarterback at least 4 years to develop into an elite or a much better formed quarterback than you are when you first come into the league. That's true, okay? But that is also not true. But it's not true. But when it comes to certain quarterbacks that elevate themselves when they first come into the league, and his point making that Carson Wentz was not the named starter, and that he played so well that they shipped out Sam Bradford, okay, and whatever else reasons that they put him first, okay, that's fine, all right. But Dak Prescott was not like you said, wasn't thinking of the starter either. He was third string, not second, third string, all right. So then now Romo goes down, and before Romo goes down, Kellen Moore breaks his foot or toe, whatever he broke, ankle or something. I forgot. But he becomes second. Romo goes down, Dak goes into first squad, and then he just simply tore up the damn preseason. Tore it up. All to it. Okay? So he became so impressive that they named him starter. They didn't go try to find anybody else. You know, I know everybody talks about that Jones didn't really want him and all this other stuff. That's we're all about that history. He's trying to get Paxton Lynch, and they tried to get Wentz too. Couldn't get him. Tried to get Paxton Lynch, couldn't get him. I guess we'll go ahead and roll with 4th round draft pick, 135th. Carson Wentz was picked number 1 by the Eagles. Seeked up like snakes to get him with several other picks, drafts and stuff, and trades just to get him. You understand? There are several teams that was going for him. So how in the world you could tell me that he came from a lesser team when everybody else was trying to draft him in number 1? What? Well, it's apparent to me that it took him time to try to adjust himself because, well, he was a rookie, right? Well, so was Dak Prescott. But here's the thing. The same Colin Moore, the same other 2 quarterbacks that took Romo's place when he went down that year, had the same front line, had the same running style game, even before Zeke got there, and had Zeke as well. You know, when they had Zeke, of course, Zach had Zeke. But they still were a top running team, always. So what happened? Those 3 quarterbacks failed with the same front line that protected Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott just simply used and utilized his position and his players better than the other 3 quarterbacks. You understand? Carson Wentz kept making mistake after mistake after mistake. And matter of fact, he was being well known for overthrowing his players. Overthrowing. He did that last season. Now, the advantage, of course, is the fact that Zeke Elliott is a top-tier running back. In fact, he's number 1. Okay? He's number 1. But you can link the fact that Carson Wentz didn't do well because he didn't have a great running game, a great running game plan. He didn't have great runners until 2017 with Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount, who ran the ball down everybody's throat. So much so that the Eagles' a run game became third in all of football, just behind the Dallas Cowboys and the Jaguars. Now remember, the Jacksonville Jaguars was number 1 in rushing, and one of the worst quarterbacks in the history of the NFL had a great season. Why? Because he had a run game. Carson Wentz did well in 2017, so much so that they went all the way without him to go to the Super Bowl because why? They had a mouth-smashing frontline running game. Okay? That's why he did well. The other 2 seasons, 2016, 2018, was a wash because he had no run game. Those guys, LeBlunt left, and Ajayi was hurt. And the rest of them never could do anything, especially when they had even the short guy, I forgot his name right now, Sproles. Sproles wasn't he's no running back. He's a scat back. That's all. So why should Dak Prescott apologize? And the Dallas Cowboys should apologize for having a top-tier running back and a great front line, which, and by the way, was not all the way fucking healthy. They were injured as well. And they were absolutely great in 2016, but after that, they were non-existent in some parts. Last year, Dak Prescott, one of the top best quarterbacks, okay, had 50 sacks. He was sacked nearly 50 times. Nearly 60 times. 60 times he was sacked. But still took the division. Still beat the Eagles. Swept them. You understand? And still won in the playoffs. Got to the postseason once again. Carson Wentz, on the other hand, the guy who was picked first, never made it to the postseason. Never took a snap. Never took a look. Now he's still on the sideline, looking back and forth and saying, "Wow, that St. Nick Foles is pretty good." But don't you guys think I'm better? I'm better, right? I'm better, right? Management thought so. They shipped out Nick Foles. He realized that he don't want to sit there and sit back behind a guy that he knows he's better than. That he saved the fucking team twice. Saved them, took them off their ass twice and marched them down the field. He's not going to sit behind somebody who can't fucking make it. Who was, as P5 says, was slow in getting developed into. Somehow, though, he's an elite quarterback? Really? Why wasn't he picked 4th? And Dak Prescott picked 1st? If Dak was all of that, if Dak came from the heart of the division, and Dak was playing a higher level, he didn't have much to far go when he came to the NFL. So how come he wasn't picked 1st? I'm left to ponder. P5, you're my man. I respect you. I love you. You're my man, okay? But, like most Eagle fans, your announcers get screwed when it comes to the Cowboys. It gets skewed, rather. When it comes to the Cowboys. I just don't understand it. But I'll be looking out for you, brother. Love your videos.
Bark on the hill. Bark on the hill.